In the annals of archaeology, few puzzles are as persistent as the logistical and geological choices made by the builders of ancient Egypt. While the visual grandeur of the temples and monuments is undeniable, a closer engineering analysis suggests that the selection of materials was not merely aesthetic, but functional. This mystery centers on the quarries of Aswan, located deep in southern Egypt. It is here, hundreds of miles from the major construction sites of Giza and Cairo, that the ancients chose to mine the specific red granite used for their most significant monolithic structures, the obelisks. Conventional history suggests this stone was chosen for its durability and regal color. However, alternative theorists and engineering experts propose a far more radical motivation: the specific mineralogical composition of Aswan granite. Aswan granite is unique in its high concentration of quartz crystals. To the geologist, this is a classification of rock. To the electrical engineer, this is a potential component of a circuit. Quartz possesses a property known as the piezoelectric effect. Discovered in the modern era by the Curie brothers in 1880, this phenomenon describes the ability of certain solid materials to generate an electric charge in response to applied mechanical stress. Conversely, if an electric potential is applied to the crystal, it vibrates. The implications of this in the context of a 300-ton obelisk are profound. These monuments were strictly required to be monolithic, hewn from a single, unbroken piece of stone. If the obelisk was segmented, the continuity of the crystal lattice would be broken. By erecting a solid, single piece of quartz-rich granite, the ancients may have been creating a massive geological battery or transducer. The sheer mass of the stone creates internal pressure, potentially activating the piezoelectric properties of the quartz within. Furthermore, these stone needles were not left bare. Historical accounts and physical evidence confirm that the obelisks were originally capped with pyramidions, known as the Benben stone, which were plated in electrum. Electrum is a naturally occurring alloy of gold and silver. In terms of electrical engineering, gold and silver are among the best conductors of electricity in the natural world. By placing a highly conductive capstone atop a quartz-rich piezoelectric column, the structure begins to resemble a gigantic component of a circuit board. Some researchers suggest these were not passive monuments, but active receivers or transmitters, lightning rods designed to tap into atmospheric static electricity, or perhaps receivers for a wireless energy grid. The source: the Great Pyramid of Giza. If the obelisks were the receivers or substations of this ancient grid, there must be a central generator. This line of inquiry leads inevitably to the Giza Plateau and the Great Pyramid. Standing at an original height of roughly 481 feet, currently approximately 450 feet, the Great Pyramid consists of over 2.3 million stone blocks. It is the only surviving member of the Seven Wonders of the ancient world. For centuries, the standard academic explanation has been that this colossal effort was expended to create a tomb for the pharaoh Khufu, Cheops, ruling circa 2589 to 2566 BC. However, the tomb theory faces significant evidentiary challenges. Despite centuries of exploration, no mummy has ever been found in the Great Pyramid. Unlike the tombs in the Valley of the Kings, which are adorned with elaborate hieroglyphs and funerary texts guiding the soul to the afterlife, the interior of the Great Pyramid is stark, unadorned, and sterile. There are no inscriptions praising the pharaoh, no depictions of the gods, and no grave goods. The structure itself is a marvel of precision that defies the technological context of the Bronze Age. The base of the pyramid, covering 13 acres, is level to within 7/8 of an inch. The orientation of the structure aligns to true north with an accuracy of 3/60ths of a degree, a feat that modern engineers would find difficult to replicate without laser theodolites. The casing stones, famously stripped away over the millennia, were once joined with such precision that a razor blade could not fit between them, sealed with a high-strength gypsum mortar of unknown chemical origin. The Giza power plant hypothesis. It is the internal layout of the Great Pyramid that has convinced researchers like mechanical engineer Christopher Dunn that the structure is a machine. Dunn, drawing on over 50 years of experience in high-tech manufacturing and aerospace, argues that the diagrams of the pyramid's interior look less like a crypt and more like a technical schematic for a chemical power plant. This theory, known as the Giza power plant hypothesis, posits that the pyramid was a coupled harmonic oscillator designed to convert the Earth's vibrational energy into microwave radiation. The chemistry of the chambers. Dunn and other proponents analyzed the so-called air shafts found in the king's and queen's chambers. For decades, these were assumed to be for ventilation, yet the shafts in the queen's chamber do not exit the pyramid, stopping abruptly behind stone blocks. In 1993 and later in 2002, robotic exploration of these shafts revealed copper fittings and door handles. The engineering hypothesis suggests these shafts were actually fluid feed pipes. The theory proposes that two specific chemicals were introduced into the queen's chamber through these shafts: hydrated zinc, flowing from one shaft, dilute hydrochloric acid, flowing from the other. When these chemicals mix, they trigger a violent reaction that produces hydrogen gas. Evidence for this lies in the salt encrustations found on the walls of the Queen's chamber, which chemical analysis has identified as potential byproducts of such a reaction. The physics of the Grand Gallery. Once the hydrogen gas was produced, it would boil off and rise into the Grand Gallery. This massive, corbelled hallway is 153 feet long and 28 feet high. In the power plant theory, the Grand Gallery served as a Helmholtz resonator. The theory suggests that the pyramid was physically coupled to the Earth. As the Earth rotates and vibrates, these seismic vibrations would be picked up by the massive structure. The Grand Gallery, lined with granite, would rely on a bank of resonators, possibly located in the now empty slots running along the gallery's ramps, to amplify these acoustic vibrations. The sound energy would interact with the rising hydrogen gas, energizing the atoms. The king's chamber, the combustion heart. The energized hydrogen would then flow into the king's chamber. This room is constructed entirely of red Aswan granite, distinct from the limestone blocks of the core. Above the king's chamber lie 5 relieving chambers, consisting of massive granite beams weighing up to 70 tons each. Egyptologists argue these beams are structural, meant to relieve the weight of the pyramid from the ceiling of the chamber. However, engineering analysis shows this is structural overkill. A simple corbelled arch would have sufficed. Dunn argues that these beams were actually tuning forks. They were designed to resonate at a specific frequency, F-sharp chord, according to acoustic studies of the chamber. As the vibrations from the Earth passed through the pyramid, these granite beams would resonate, creating a piezoelectric environment within the king's chamber. This acoustic and electromagnetic energy would bombard the hydrogen gas. The Maser effect. The culmination of this process is the creation of a mesa, microwave amplification by stimulated emission of radiation, the precursor to the modern laser. The theory states that the energized hydrogen atoms oscillating in the granite chamber would emit microwave energy. This energy would then be collected and directed. The air shaft leading out of the king's chamber is the only one that exits directly to the outside, originally. This shaft would act as a waveguide, directing a collimated beam of microwave energy out of the pyramid and into the atmosphere. The wireless world of antiquity. If the Great Pyramid was indeed broadcasting microwave energy, what was the purpose? This brings the theory full circle back to the obelisks. In a wireless energy network, conceptually similar to the Wardenclyffe Tower project proposed by Nikola Tesla in the early 20th century, energy is broadcast through the atmosphere or the Earth itself. For such a system to be useful, the energy must be collected and stepped down for use at local sites. The obelisks, scattered throughout Egypt at key temple sites, would act as the receivers in this grid. The quartz content in the Aswan granite, tuned to the specific frequency of the pyramid's output, would allow these monoliths to resonate sympathetically with the broadcast energy. The electrum caps would attract and channel this power, perhaps creating localized electromagnetic fields used for illumination, tool powering, or other applications lost to history. This perspective offers a unified theory of Egyptian engineering. It explains the obsession with Aswan granite, the necessary quartz content, the difficulty of the monolithic construction, maintaining crystal lattice integrity, the specific metals used for capping, conductivity, and the extreme precision of the Giza complex, necessary for acoustic and electromagnetic tuning. Conclusion. While mainstream archaeology maintains that the Great Pyramid is a tomb and the obelisks are commemorative steles, the lack of mummies and the geological anomalies of the stone offer fertile ground for alternative theories. The power plant hypothesis paints a picture of a civilization that understood the earth sciences on a level we are only just beginning to comprehend.